You ever notice how the tiniest parts of daily life are the ones that drive you completely nuts, but somehow they're the same parts that make it all hilarious? It's like we're all extras in some low-budget comedy that never ends, and every morning is the start of another episode. Take getting out of bed, for example. You don't just get up. No, first there's the war with the alarm clock. You set it the night before like it's a trusted friend, and then it betrays you with that screeching beep that sounds like a fire drill in a doll factory. You don't wake up. You're dragged into consciousness by a machine you paid good money for. And what do? We smack it, we hit snooze, we bargain with it like it's going to show mercy. Then we finally crawl out of bed like someone dug us out of a snowbank, only to spend the next 10 minutes looking for the pair of socks we swore we left in plain sight. And socks don't even start with socks. They disappear like witnesses in a mob movie. You buy a dozen pairs, and a week later you've got a drawer full of lonely singles, each one giving you the sad look of an abandoned puppy. Where do they go? Nobody knows. There's no logical explanation. People will talk about wormholes and laundry physics, but the truth is, there's a sock universe out there, probably holding a convention while we're here on Earth trying to match stripes with polka dots like idiots. And when you finally find two that look alike, you realize one has been washed so many times it's now a completely different color, but we wear them anyway because who's going to notice? Everyone else is too busy losing their own socks. Then there's breakfast. Breakfast is supposed to be simple. It's food, you eat it, but we turned it into a ritual. People act like they're curating an art exhibit. You've got to pick the right cereal, the right milk, the perfect balance of crunch to soggy. You pour the cereal, you pour the milk, and suddenly you're performing a science experiment. Add too much milk and it's cereal soup. Add too little and you're chewing gravel. And coffee is the most dramatic part of the morning. It's not a beverage anymore, it's a lifeline. People talk about coffee like it's a religion. They whisper about beans and blends, grind size and brewing methods, like they're unlocking the secrets of the universe. Meanwhile, all they want is a hot cup of brown water that tricks the brain into thinking it's ready to face traffic. Traffic is another comedy classic. Nobody admits they're part of it. People complain about traffic like it's some natural disaster that just happened to them, as if they weren't sitting in a two-ton metal box making the exact same problem for somebody else. You ever notice that everyone who drives slower than you is an idiot, and everyone who drives faster than you is a maniac? That's the system. We all think we're the one person on the road who's doing it right. You can have 100 cars lined up, every driver convinced the other 99 don't know what they're doing, and not one of them sees that they're all the same character in the same scene. And don't get me started on grocery shopping. That's a circus without the animals. You walk in with a list, and 5 minutes later you're standing in the snack aisle holding a jar of pickles you don't remember picking up. You tell yourself you're going to be smart and only buy what you need. Then you leave with a receipt the length of a wedding invitation and a cart full of things you didn't know existed. You didn't plan on buying a family-sized bag of marshmallows, but somehow it felt important in the moment. And the checkout line, that's where humanity really shines. You've got the person who waits until everything is scanned to even start looking for their wallet. Then there's the price check debate, where one can of beans holds up an entire civilization. You can feel the collective sigh of everyone in line, but nobody says a word. We just stand there, gripping our carts like prisoners waiting for release. Even the way we talk to each other is a comedy sketch. Small talk is the greatest performance of all time. We all know it's fake. You ask somebody how they're doing and you don't want to know. They say fine, and they're lying. Everyone's fine, always fine, never better. Meanwhile, they've got a toothache, their cat threw up on the rug, and they're late on 3 bills. But they're fine, and we accept it because that's the script. Nobody wants the truth. If someone actually told you the truth, you'd panic. How are you? Well, my back hurts, and I think my neighbor's spying on me. Suddenly you're looking for the nearest exit. Then there's the obsession with stuff. People spend half their lives buying things they don't need, and the other half complaining they don't have enough space for all the things they don't need. Closets full of clothes we never wear, gadgets we don't understand, drawers full of mystery cables we're afraid to throw away in case they belong to something important. Nobody remembers what half those cables even connect to, but we keep them because maybe, someday, we'll need to charge a device we haven't owned since the last decade. And when we can't find something, we blame the house like it's conspiring against us. Where's my keys? I put them right here. Maybe the keys grew legs and left because they were tired of being blamed. Even the simple act of eating in public is a masterpiece of awkward comedy. Watch people at a restaurant. Everyone's pretending they're relaxed, but they're all on high alert, trying not to spill, drop, or chew too loudly. The waiter comes by, and suddenly everyone becomes a mathematician, calculating tips like they're splitting the national debt. Someone always asks if the water is free, as if the restaurant has a secret policy to charge by the sip. And when the bill comes, it's like a game show. Who ordered the extra side of fries because I didn't have any fries? Sure you didn't, Steve. And let's not forget technology, the biggest unintentional comedian of all. We invented gadgets to save time, and now we waste half our lives fixing them. Remote controls with 50 buttons, and none of them do what you think. Phones that freeze, beep, or update themselves at the worst possible moment. People standing in their living rooms, waving at motion sensors like they're trying to flag down an invisible taxi. And every time something goes wrong, we restart it like that's some kind of ancient ritual to please the machine gods. Have you tried turning it off and on again? Of course we have. That's the first prayer of the modern age. The best part is we all think we're the only sane ones in this whole operation. We laugh at other people's quirks while defending our own as perfectly reasonable. The guy who alphabetizes his spices is a nutcase, but your habit of rearranging the couch cushions 3 times a day is totally normal. The neighbor who talks to his plants is eccentric, but your need to double check the door lock 12 times is just being careful. We're all little walking sitcoms pretending we're documentaries. That's the beauty of it all, isn't it? The absurdity, the routines, the endless parade of tiny frustrations and ridiculous habits. This is the show. This is the comedy. Life doesn't need a scriptwriter because it already wrote itself into a masterpiece of everyday nonsense. You don't have to buy a ticket. All you have to do is wake up, look around, and try not to trip over the punchlines. Isn't it amazing how life is just one giant collection of rules, and half the time we don't even know who made them up? They're just there, floating around like invisible stop signs, and we all agree to follow them without ever asking why. You come into this world, you learn to walk, talk, and before you even figure out how to tie your shoes, someone's already telling you what you can't do. Don't run in the hallway, don't chew with your mouth open, don't put your elbows on the table. Somewhere out there is a secret council of people who decided elbows are dangerous at dinner. Apparently, if your elbows touch the table, the roast beef explodes. Who came up with that? And more importantly, why are we all nodding along like it makes perfect sense? Rules have this sneaky way of pretending to be important while being completely ridiculous. Take traffic lights, for example. You're sitting there at 3 in the morning, no cars for miles, not even a squirrel crossing the street. but that little red light holds the power of a dictator. You sit there like a well-trained dog waiting for a treat, staring at an empty intersection because some piece of metal is telling you to stop, and you do it. You obey, because deep down you know if you go, some cosmic referee is going to blow a whistle and fine you for daring to think. The whole road system is basically an elaborate game of Mother May I, with fines attached. And it doesn't stop when you get off the road. Society has rules for everything. There's a rule about how to stand in an elevator. Did you know that everybody knows it, nobody teaches it, but the second those doors close, every person becomes a trained actor in a silent play? You face forward, you don't talk, you avoid eye contact like everyone else has a contagious case of awkward. You can be shoulder to shoulder with a total stranger, breathing the same recycled air, but the unwritten law says you both pretend you're alone. Someone tries to chat, and the whole elevator tenses up like a submarine under attack. We act like conversation in a metal box is some kind of international crime. Even the way we greet each other is a rule we never question, the handshake. What a strange tradition that is. Two people meet, and instead of saying hi, they press their sweaty palms together and shake them around like they're trying to mix a drink. We all just accept that this is normal human behavior, and heaven forbid you mess it up. Too weak, you're a coward. Too strong, you're a bully. Hold on too long and you've officially made it weird. There's a perfect handshake somewhere between dead fish and bone crusher, and apparently you're supposed to just know it by instinct. Food is crawling with these secret regulations too. You can't eat dessert before dinner. Why not? Who decided sugar tastes better after vegetables? If you announce you're having ice cream before your meal, people look at you like you're overthrowing the government. And then there's the great debate about which side of the plate the fork goes on, like the fork cares. People spend years learning the correct placement of utensils they're going to cover in gravy anyway. It's a metal stick with prongs. Put it wherever you want, but no, the fork lives on the left, the knife on the right, and the spoon is waiting to judge you if you get it wrong. Dress codes might be the funniest of all. We have entire books of fashion rules that make no sense. Don't wear white after a certain month. Don't mix stripes and plaid. Wear a tie to prove you're serious. A tie, a piece of cloth hanging from your neck like a decorative leash. Somewhere along the line, someone convinced us that choking ourselves lightly with fabric is the key to respect, and we went along with it. We even pay extra for the privilege. People spend good money to look uncomfortable in clothes they secretly hate, all because society says it's professional. Even our leisure time isn't free from the rule book. Think about the beach. There's an accepted way to build a sandcastle, a proper distance between towels, a correct angle for your umbrella. You can't just throw a blanket down wherever you want. There's an invisible grid system everyone pretends isn't there, and if you break formation, you'll get silent stares until you move, and heaven help you if you bring the wrong kind of snack. Apparently, seagulls are the only ones allowed to eat anything they want without judgment. The workplace is basically a shrine to pointless regulations. You've got rules about breaks, rules about lunch, rules about how many personal items you can keep on your desk. There are rules about email signatures, as if the company's survival depends on whether you write best regards or sincerely. People spend hours in meetings discussing policies nobody wants, all to create more rules that everyone will immediately forget. And let's not forget the dress down Friday that somehow still has rules. Dress down, they say, but not too down, casual, but not that casual. Wear jeans, but only the expensive kind that prove you don't actually need jeans. And don't overlook the subtle rules of conversation. There's a socially acceptable script for everything. If someone sneezes, you must say bless you, even if you don't care about their nasal situation. If someone says have a nice day, you're required to echo it back, even if your day is going to be a disaster. If someone holds the door for you, you must either speed up to acknowledge the gesture or slow down just enough to avoid the awkward shuffle. It's a dance we all perform without ever questioning who wrote the music. Even time itself has rules. We all agree that 7 o'clock is too early for dinner in some places and too late in others. Midnight is considered late, but only because the clock says so. We panic when daylight savings comes around because someone decided to steal or give back an hour like time is a coupon. Nobody questions why we're all pretending the sun cares about our schedules. The sun's been doing its thing for billions of years, and we're here fiddling with clocks like we're in charge. What's truly funny is how these rules spread without anyone noticing. Nobody holds a town meeting to announce them. They just appear, passed down from generation to generation like some sacred tradition. You learn them by trial and embarrassment. You break one, and suddenly everyone acts like you've violated a holy code. Forget to send a thank you note, stand too close in line, wear socks with sandals, and you're branded a social outlaw, not because anyone's hurt, but because you didn't play the game. And deep down, everybody knows most of these rules are nonsense. That's why breaking them feels so good. You eat dessert first, you wear mismatched socks, you talk in the elevator, and for a split second you feel like a revolutionary. You didn't change the world, but you reminded yourself that the world doesn't always make sense. Maybe that's why people love a good prank or a harmless rebellion. It's a way of saying, hey, I see the invisible leash, and I'm not always going to wear it. The best part is, even the people who make the rules can't explain them. Ask someone why you can't put your elbows on the table, and they'll shrug. Ask why ties are professional, and they'll mumble something about tradition. Nobody knows. The answer is always, that's just the way it is. And that's the punchline. We live in a world where the most powerful justification for anything is a sentence that means absolutely nothing. Life is like a giant board game where the instructions got lost centuries ago, but everyone keeps playing anyway. We memorize the moves, we follow the patterns, and we pretend it's all perfectly reasonable. And maybe it is. Maybe the rules aren't there to keep us safe or make sense. Maybe they're just there to give us something to laugh about while we wait for the light to turn green. People are the funniest thing walking around on this planet, and the best part is, most of them don't even know they're in a comedy act. Every day is a live show, unscripted and free of charge. Just step outside and watch. You'll see people doing things they think are perfectly normal, but if you tilt your head and squint a little, it's pure entertainment. Start with the way we complain. People complain about everything all the time. It's like a national sport. They'll complain about traffic while they're sitting in traffic, as if their car magically doesn't count. Can you believe how slow these people are? They say, while being one of the slow people. And when they finally get moving, they'll complain about the speeders. Look at that maniac. It never occurs to anyone that they're part of the exact thing they're mad about. The irony is sitting right there in the passenger seat, but nobody wants to claim it. Then there's the obsession with trends. People love trends even when they don't like them. They'll chase after the latest thing just so they can loudly declare how much they hate it. They'll buy the new shoes everyone's wearing, then spend the next week telling friends how ridiculous it is that everyone is wearing those shoes. They'll eat food they don't even enjoy because some magazine said it's the dish of the season. I can't stand kale, they say, while stuffing it into a blender. It's as if being miserable is a small price to pay for staying relevant. Nobody wants to be left out of a fad, even if the fad is bad. And have you noticed the strange language people invent just to sound important? Perfectly simple things get wrapped in fancy words until they don't even mean anything. Coffee isn't coffee anymore. It's a handcrafted, artisan, slow, brewed, ethically sourced liquid experience. Water is no longer just water. It's sparkling, purified mineral, infused glacier, kissed hydration. People can't just say job. No, now they have careers, projects, ventures, and passions. It's like everyone's trying to win a poetry contest every time they open their mouth. You ask someone what they do, and instead of saying, "I work in an office," they give you a 3-minute TED talk about curating innovative solutions in a dynamic environment. Translation, they sit at a desk and answer emails. Even the smallest human habits are hilarious when you stop and look at them. Watch someone trying to parallel park. They'll pull in, back out, pull in again, turn the wheel like they're trying to crack a safe, and somehow end up further from the curb than when they started. And when they finally get it, they'll step out of the car like they just landed on the moon, or watch people when they think nobody's looking. They'll check their reflection in a car window, fix their hair in a spoon, or practice faces in the elevator mirror. Everybody's starring in a silent movie of their own making. Shopping is another endless comedy routine. People circle the same aisle 3 times looking for something that's been in front of them the whole time. They'll read labels like they're decoding ancient scrolls, pretending they understand what natural flavoring even means, and the checkout line is a human zoo. Someone always forgets one item and sprints off, leaving their cart as a roadblock, while the rest of us stand there pretending not to be annoyed. The person in front of you inevitably has a coupon that requires a manager's approval, and the cashier looks like they're one beep away from starting a revolution. Meanwhile, everyone is silently competing to look the most patient, as if there's an award for quietly suffering. Restaurants might be the greatest stage for human comedy. People treat menus like sacred texts. They'll study every option, ask the waiter a dozen questions, request substitutions, and then order the same thing they always get. And when the food arrives, there's a whole ritual of photographing it before taking a single bite, as if the meal doesn't count unless it's been documented like evidence in a crime scene, and splitting the bill. That's where the fun really starts. Suddenly, everyone turns into an accountant. "I didn't have the appetizer, but I did take a sip of your drink. So let's divide by 3, add tax, subtract the tip. Wait, are we tipping on the pre-tax or post-tax amount?" By the end of it, you need a calculator and a peace treaty just to get out of the place. The way people use technology adds another layer of comedy. Watch someone dealing with a phone that won't cooperate. They'll tap it, shake it, blow on it like it's a video game cartridge from the 80s. They'll yell at a voice assistant for not understanding their accent, then say please, like the machine might have feelings. And heaven forbid the internet goes down. People lose their minds. Suddenly, the entire world stops making sense. They'll reset the router, check the cables, reboot the computer, and finally call the service provider just to be told to do the same things they've already done. And after all that, the internet magically comes back on its own, and everyone acts like they personally fixed it with sheer willpower. Even social gatherings are a goldmine of human absurdity. Watch how people behave at a party. You've got the close talker who doesn't understand personal space, the one-upper who turns every story into a competition, and the person who laughs too loudly at jokes that aren't funny just to fill the silence. And when it's time to leave, nobody can do it smoothly. There's the fake goodbye, where people say they're leaving but keep talking for another 20 minutes, and the awkward hug parade where you're not sure who to hug, who to handshake, and who to wave at from a safe distance. The whole thing is a carefully choreographed dance of confusion. Public transportation is like a traveling comedy club. People pretend not to notice each other while being packed together like sardines. Someone's always pretending their bag needs its own seat. Someone else is nodding off and slowly tipping toward a stranger. And there's always that one person who decides a crowded bus is the perfect place for a loud phone call about their personal life. You learn things about strangers you never wanted to know, and you can't escape because you're all trapped in the same moving box. Even the little greetings and goodbyes are loaded with quirks. People say we should get together sometime when they have no intention of getting together. They say let's keep in touch when they mean see you never. And everyone has that fake laugh they use when they don't get the joke but want to appear polite. It's a laugh that says, I have no idea what's happening, but I'm socially obligated to make a noise. The funniest thing is how seriously we take all of this. People get worked up over the smallest inconveniences, as if the universe is personally out to get them. Someone cuts in line, and it's a full-blown tragedy. The coffee shop runs out of their favorite muffin, and suddenly life has lost all meaning. Meanwhile, half of these problems disappear if you just tilt your head and laugh, because deep down we all know we're ridiculous. We're creatures who argue with microwaves, panic over lost socks, and hold grudges against strangers we'll never see again. And yet, for all the quirks and contradictions, that's what makes people so fascinating. Everyone's got their own little routine, their own odd habits, their own private comedy act happening in the background. The way someone stirs their tea, the way they tap their foot when they're nervous, the way they talk to their dog like it's a tax consultant. It's all part of the show. You don't have to buy a ticket, and you don't need a stage. The performance is everywhere all the time, in every face you pass on the street. That's the beauty of it. We don't need punchlines because we are the punchlines. The world doesn't have to try to be funny. It already is. People just have to look around, pay attention, and realize they've been laughing at the greatest comedy of all along.